Welcome in, everybody. It's Dreamcasters time.
My favorite 30 minutes of the week.
Well, it's mine too. Apparently, we last week I lost my mind. We had a show, and then we had me because I forgot we had a show. And then, I just want to make sure everybody knows we got a show.
Here we are.
Here we are. It's so funny. And you gave me such grace, and you said, remember, as we discussed, and I go, yes, and there's actually a show that ran too. You wore your pretty purple shirt, and then we planned for it, and
Well, we luckily we have the most forgiving audience in the world, so I think they'll roll with us. I think we're okay.
And you are forgiving. And see, that's the thing. I said, you and Terry had to be very forgiving of me last week because I had come back from visiting my mom and my sister, and I was all, and so you guys showed me immense grace. So thank you for that.
Oh, no, you're quite welcome. And actually, the show you did by yourself without me was stellar. I did watch it kind of after the fact. It was tremendous.
Well, thank you. Thank
You're
you.
welcome.
Just throwing out a few things. I cut it in half because I said because half of us was gone. So I said, it would be 30 minutes if Bill were here because he would have the other half of this conversation.
It was like the podcast version of Phantom Limb Syndrome. We were feeling me, even though I wasn't there.
Right. Well, I'm so glad that you're here and you're back. How was your trip?
Briefly, seeing as our show is called Dreamcasters, I went to Ireland and Scotland on a 2-week vacation with my beautiful girlfriend Shanley and her family. And along the lines of dreamcasting, it was an extraordinary trip for me, but it was a lifelong dream for Shanley and an absolute lifelong monumental dream that she's been looking forward to try to find a way to do it for years and years. We almost did it a few years ago, and then COVID happened and lockdown and all that stuff. We finally just made it all happen. I know you've been to Ireland many times, but I've been there twice before. This was my 3rd time, and it's still absolutely breathtaking. I will say to the audience, if you ever have the chance to go to Ireland, there's a million things you can see. There's castles all over the place. The Cliffs of Moher.
Oh, yes.
Call that Moher.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen pictures. I've seen movies. I was absolutely overwhelmed. I stood there and just looked at it in the rain. It was pouring rain. I didn't care. None of us cared, It was the most breathtaking sight I think I've ever seen. So for those of you that might have a chance to travel, and if you don't have a chance to travel, grab the book or the video or something, because it was a sight to behold. It really was incredible.
It is. Somebody walked up behind me. They said, "Are you praying?" And I said, yeah. I'm actually having a little conversation with God here because what he created at that spot is so absolutely breathtaking. You're right. It is. That's the word.
Yeah.
And it's stunning and beautiful. And I felt like it was ancient and old. And I thought, who has stood on these same cliffs and looked out over this ocean?
Well, and this is an interesting segue that I really had not planned on. This was not scripted. I'm sure your audience knows that if there's something, we can be accused of a lot of things, but scripting is not one of them.
Yeah.
I would not have called this a dream of mine to see the Cliffs of Moher because I didn't know enough about it. The second I saw it, it was a dream come true. I didn't know anything about it. Couldn't have prepared myself for it, heard about it, I can't imagine not seeing it now. Now that I've seen it, it was a dream come true. It was a gift. It was a surprise.
Well, that's fascinating because what I think it's really cool that you've had this experience. I used to have a quote. It was cut out of the newspaper. Because back when people used to all subscribe to newspapers, I'm still a big proponent of subscribing to newspapers. Get a newspaper. It was a quote from Oprah. And whether you like her, whether you don't, that quote really spurred me forward. and it said, remember, God always has a bigger dream for you than you do for yourself.
Exactly.
And I thought, oh, wow, because that's what you were talking about. Sometimes you don't know that something is your dream until you're in it and you go, oh my goodness.
Yeah.
You know, it's like the first time that I got that letter that said, we want to use your work in Guidepost magazine, and we're starting the new All God's Creatures imprint, and we want you to be one of our main writers. And that was something that I remember when I was a kid and I would read Guidepost. I said, one day I want to have something in this magazine. And sure enough, I mean, here I am, I was pushing 60 and got my first chance at it. And I'm going, wow, they contacted me, not the other way around. And I thought I couldn't have made it happen, but that's the way dreams happen. Sometimes you do the work and then the dream finds you.
Yeah. Yeah. We spend a good deal of time on this show talking about ourselves because, in hopes of shining a light on stuff for other people. And I notice when we have people commenting, you can tell who it really resonates with.
Oh, yeah.
When you can tell the audience.
Like Elizabeth, Ireland is amazing. And that's powerful to me. The whole idea, and she's like-minded in that we do have these big dreams that maybe have not manifested yet, but as long as we're breathing breath, that dream is still in the incubator.
Yeah. And if we can kind of dovetail into, one of the topics of the day is that these things happen. They can't happen in the presence of negativity. You got to get, right. You have to kind of cleanse that area. You have to kind of move into an arena where you are free to think and free to feel and free to act and just say, I really have this in my sights and I'm going to do it. And it might not be the popular decision. My accountant might not agree with the money I'm spending on it, but I just can't absorb any negativity on this trip. I got to go for it. I got to click on all 8 cylinders, and right. and that's a kind of a powerful thing in and of itself because, as we all know, negative energy comes in a lot of different flavors and colors, and sometimes it sneaks up on you, and sometimes it comes from the person you never thought it would come from, and you have to jump over a lot of hurdles to get to whatever your dream is.
You do. And sometimes we don't realize it's negativity when it comes to us. We're so used to hearing it. Marilyn is with us, loving the quote. Yes, 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 yes. And Johnny Vinoker is with us today. You know Johnny V.
I do. Oh, my goodness.
Good morning, Amazing Wonderfuls. And Johnny needs to be a guest of ours on another show because he's got a brand new book out that entails a lot of what we're talking about. And he's helped a lot of people with their dreams. So anyway.
Wow. Johnny V. I haven't seen him in a very long time.
And Elizabeth says, yes. And sometimes I stumble into dreams I didn't know I had, and yet they have changed my life. Oh, I love that. Yeah. Yeah. Negativity. I'll give you an idea of what really hit me is that in the last month, I noticed that there are several people that I visit on a social level, and we were together, and it had been a while, but in every single circumstance, different people, it was, well, I don't think the service here is very good. Well, this food isn't very good. I mean, my gosh, this traffic's terrible. I mean, it was little negative. It was like, and even the facial expression sitting across was that of, yeah. I left feeling tired, exhausted. And I realized that to perpetuate and to carry the weight of someone else's negativity is exhausting to us. So if you've got a dream and you literally surround yourself with people, and it can be small things. It can be, I cannot believe it's raining.
Mhm.
I know, but we haven't had rain in like 25 days, so it's kind of good that it's raining. It, keeps everything from being a fire hazard. It's like it's good. I hate the rain. Little things like that erode our our good feeling. They erode,
Sure.
and they're a lot to carry.
Well, if you ever notice, you could be at a gathering or a cocktail party, that kind of thing, and there's 15 people, and everybody is light of spirit, and 3 people are talking about the baseball game last night, and 3 other people are talking about they can't wait for their grandson to be born. All this happy, positive, all different things. One person walks in with that attitude, and it sucks all the life out of the room.
Yes.
Somehow
Yes.
it becomes the majority, and I've tried to study this, and if I may, I'm full of segues today, but in my hypnosis practice, which we talk about a lot on this show, one of the techniques I use is the imaginary cocktail party. Just exactly what we're talking about right now. Everybody's in a good mood, and the conversations kind of dovetail into each other, where you overhear the people over there say something about Ireland, and I say, hey, excuse me, I don't mean to interrupt, but I just got back. And someone else says, oh, I heard you talking about music. My son's a musician. And everybody's in this groove. Everybody's happy. Everybody's up. And one person walks in and just saps everybody's energy. And essentially, the 16th person, right, 1/16 of that party suddenly is dominating the energy flow. And hypnosis practice, I use those kind of scenarios to say, now what do people with, self-esteem is kind of a big umbrella, but we sometimes call it, the process is the ego strengthening, give a better handle on it. I said, how can you rise above that? You don't want to argue with them. You don't want to fight with them, because then you've already lost, right? So one of the techniques into essentially getting to your dream, right? Because that's what we're here for, to talk about that. With that negative person, fighting is not going to be the deal. Ignoring them is certainly not going to solve anything. But what you do, one of the techniques that I suggest, even in the imagination, even if this didn't actually happen, that's the power of imagination. Instead of fighting with that guy, if that guy says, oh, I hate that kind of music, a proper response might be this: hey, Bob, I used to think that too. I never listened to that stuff until about 3 years ago. I was sitting in this little bar by myself waiting for some friends, and I was all alone. And this band started playing this music, or these people started playing on the jukebox. And I finally listened to the lyrics. You should try that sometime, Bob. Matter of fact, Bob, tomorrow night, dinner's on me. I'm going to take you out to this little place, and we're going to listen to that bluegrass music that you say you don't like. I'm going to take you to the real bluegrass guys, and let's see how you feel about it. That is infinitely different than fighting, trying to convince him of something. What you do is, and you're not. It's not like you're being subversive. It's not like you're being. There's no agenda other than to say, to commiserate a little bit. Hey, you know what? I used to be where you were. I used to really dislike that, or those idea, or those people, or that. But you know what? I came around because I looked at it this way. Hey, Bob, why don't you try looking at it this way? It has been miraculous to a lot of people. And what it does is, again, the show is Dreamcasters, right? When you start learning how to deal with that negativity, not sidestep it, not ignore it. We're not talking about hear no evil, see no
evil. Deal with it. Yes.
Yeah. I give people imagine bumper stickers in my practice. And at the end of this conversation, I would say to them, so I'm going to give you a bumper sticker now that you've done this. Even if it's in your imagination, even if this didn't really happen, you're on your way to fulfilling your dreams, whatever they are. You're getting rid of some of this negativity. Once you experience that and you get through that, your bumper sticker is, I did it right. That's what I want you to say to yourself. I did it right. I could have done this wrong. I could have gone up and said, you're an idiot. I could have walked out the door and bit my tongue, and then I probably wouldn't sleep tonight because I'd be so aggravated. I didn't do that. I did it right.
That is a tool that I have never heard ever spoken before. I understand the term of, and I'm with Elizabeth. Now here's the tool that negativity is so exhausting. I can't surround myself with negative people for too long, or I need a week in solitude to recharge. Okay, that was the tool I handled, is extricate myself. But you've taken it, and an actual tool is, how do you do it right? How do you reschool? How do you add your positive spin on what that negativity is? Now, I do want to bring up, because a lot of people who have dreams hear that voice of that parental negativity. Parental negativity is foundational. That's like the little person inside us that heard words like stupid, or that's a dumb idea. No matter what the idea was, I cannot believe you would do that. That is the stupidest thing I've ever heard. So, Marilyn is agreeing, a different perspective can open a whole new experience. Yes, Marilyn, that's a good point. Good point. But I wanted to talk to you. How do you deal with, especially, can you, in your conversational hypnosis, deal with people who have entrenched parental negativity?
I do it almost every day.
Okay. Oh, right.
And one of the things to understand is, it's kind of a double-edged, I don't want to go too far back, but essentially your body doesn't interpret good stress from bad. For instance, the example I always use is Christmas morning, you wake up early, you're all excited, you can't wait for presents over. That's stressful. It's fantastic, but it's stressful. Your body doesn't always know the difference between good stress and bad stress. It's just stress, right? If you get accidentally hit with that, it doesn't hurt any more or less than if you get hit purposefully, right? Mm-hmm. So that's the first part of the equation. The second part of the equation is what we have interpreted was not necessarily intended to be negative. So I'll use myself as an example. I have spent my whole life being a musician. I think a lot of our audience probably knows that. My uncle was a great musician. My uncle also spent some time on the wrong side of the law. I didn't know this. I was young when he passed away, but he was a brilliant musician. He also did a couple of things he shouldn't have done. I think he was dealing drugs back in the 50s, when it wasn't like it is today. My parents were petrified of anything regarding being a musician. Mm. When I started to play, they would support me as much. They were sitting at the first table at the little restaurant that I played all the time. I loved them. But I know, and they even said to me on many occasions, maybe get this out of your system, and when you're 21 years old, go do something else. Maybe when you're 25, or maybe when you're 27, maybe you think about going back to school. I can't blame them for thinking that way. So when you talk about this being entrenched, mm-hmm. The first thing that people, and so I try them to understand, is how much of it was really out of their fear. It wasn't them being cruel. And you kind of have to get a break. You know what I mean? Yeah. Not in every, but one of the great tools that we use to do that is age regression. We go back and see where the was. Mm-hmm. And I could spend the next 5 podcasts telling you about subjects, but to make a long story short, and it could be a long story when you talk about age regression, what we do is we get you to a relaxed state and we go backwards. Tell me about your 25th birthday. Tell me about your graduation when you were 19. Tell me about that time you lost your team lost the big football game and how much it hurt you. And you'd be amazed. Some of my clients are watching. I'm sure they're all nodding their heads going, yeah, I didn't believe this stuff either until I did it. It's a tremendously healing process to deal with the parental negativity that sometimes has been there for 70 years. I mean, if you're talking to senior citizens, there are things, I mean, I could give you examples that really go back to when someone was 10 years old and they're 75 years old now, and they are successful and they have a business and a family and grandkids. And yet there's something down there from 70 years ago that's unresolved. So I do it almost every day.
Well, it's nice to know that there are therapeutic things that you can do to help combat that. Then we've got this added level now of negativity because social media has a whole new level of stuff. When we are engaged in social media, you're on social media or you wouldn't be seeing this show. So people who are watching this, you're on some kind or some form of social media. And one of the rules that they have, like if you do anything, don't read the comments.
Mm-hmm.
Easier said than done, because you read the reviews, you read the comments, because you want to engage with your audience. However, there's always one, at least always one, that comes in there that throws a barb, and you can have just like the 16th of a room, that 16th response that is not glowing and wonderful and it's supportive. Mm-hmm. Says something bad, it puts a barb in you that will make you want to quit. How do you combat that?
I don't want to have anybody think that I have an answer for everything. One of the things that we do is, this is kind of a very general approach, but you have to start with the general approach. I always talk about it like it's a dartboard. You start with the general approach and then we go, okay, click, click, we're getting closer to the bullseye, right? You have to kind of do it that way. The general approach is, as a living, breathing human being who is a citizen of the world, we kind of have to have a grasp of the human condition, right? Mm-hmm. There are people that are going to be throwing stuff at us, and we can't always duck. Sometimes you get punched in the face, I'm sorry to say. You know, sometimes you get a fender bender. Sometimes it's a full-blown accident. Sometimes you sprain your ankle and sometimes you break your leg. It can't account for everything. And part of that goes to forgiveness, understanding that I can't really answer everything. And I've screwed up a million times. I can't always tell you why. Why did you do that stupid thing? I don't know. That's why it's a stupid thing, right? Mm-hmm. You know, you do stuff when you're young, you do stuff when you're old. We do stupid stuff.
And we make mistakes.
So, yes. And we have to kind of, that's what I mean about the human condition. You have to understand.
We got a little freeze up there, Bill. I'm not exactly sure what's going on. Well, while we're here, Bill Cinque, hypnotist.com or bchypno.com is how you reach Bill to set up if you want to do a virtual meeting with Bill. We froze up, so I wanted to make sure that we had something covering that time. So,
oh, thank you. Yeah. Anyway, just to, I know we were kind of in the middle of a thought, but the basic idea of getting over some of the negativity is understanding that you're not going to get over all the negativity. That you're just not, you know, I mean, and that's not play on my part. Mm-hmm. You know, you're going to strike out. The greatest hitter in all of baseball, I think, was Ted Williams. I think he batted 408 or 408. That's less than half.
Wow.
You're going to have a problem in life. You're going to get, if you own a car, mm-hmm. I'm guaranteeing you at some point you're going to have a flat tire. There's no, mm-hmm. There's nothing. They have yet to invent the thing that does not make a flat tire. So
Elizabeth says sometimes tech just happens, and you're back on. It's like, yes, we love that. We love that. Well, you're right. We have to give each other grace. I mean, last week I screwed up a couple of different times, and it was just like, and all I could say was, I'm human and I messed up. And you gave grace. Terry gave grace on our Wednesday show on launch date. So thank you both for giving me that grace. Now we've just got 5 more minutes, a little bit less than that. I posted something from Bruce Lee yesterday, and it was talking about the way we talk to ourselves. When we have the conversation with ourselves, our mind is our biggest negative issue. I mean, we talk bad to ourselves. So anything that we say out loud, I look awful in this. I look terrible. I look whatever. I can't do that. I'm terrible at blah, blah, blah. I'm not a good singer. I'm not a good dancer. I can't cook. Those are just little things that come up day to day. Starting with changing that narrative with how we talk to ourselves is paramount in how we achieve our dreams.
Without a doubt. Without a doubt. Another technique in exactly this, this situation that I use is I say, let's take what the last couple of things you said to me and let's put it in a Word document. Close your eyes and see it as a Word document. See it on your laptop. See it on your computer. Literally see what you just spit out. And now let's edit it. And so if you were to say, I don't know how to cook.
Uh-oh, froze again. I don't know how to cook yet. Reframing is kind of how we have to do that. Just reframing the whole situation.
Oh, there we go.
There we are. Yeah. So I don't know how to cook yet. Is that where we are? Yeah.
Yeah. You add the word yet. Change.
See, I've already gone to Bill Cinque school.
Yeah, there you go. Change the conversation to, I didn't used to know how to cook, but in the last 3 weeks, I learned how to make 2 different dishes. Fantastic. Yeah. Whole different attitude. It's not just a different consequence. It's not just a different result talking about your cooking. The mindset changes from someone who, to this moment, I'm telling you right now, I have a coffee machine right there that makes lattes and everything. I don't even know how to turn it on. I literally don't know how to turn it on. The idea of cooking a little bit, if you make a poached egg and my girlfriend says, wow, that's good, my first thought is, great, now let me try to make something else. What does it take to make a lasagna? What does it take to barbecue a steak? It's the little things that change your mindset. It didn't necessarily change your skill set that fast. Your skill set's going to take some time. You're going to burn a couple of steaks. You're going to do whatever you do. It's the mindset that's important. The skill set will follow.
Ooh, y'all write that down. The mindset is important. The skill set will follow. That, if you take away anything today, take that. This is negativity defense. That was what today's topic was. We're closing things down with Bill Cinque, hypnotist.com, bchypno.com. And of course, you can find out all about Bill through this. This is the gateway, billcinque.com. And
thank you so much.
I'm just, I'm glad you're back. I'm glad you had a good time.
I'm very happy to be back. I'm losing my voice at the moment, but I'm happy to be back.
Oh, is one of those things where you had the cough and it kind of hit the place. It hit that little, anyway. Well, I have that on a regular basis. I hate when I have that one little place. It's like that one little piece of pepper that gets in the wrong spot. Yeah. Exactly. Well, you guys, we're going to be back on Tuesday of next week around noontime for Dreamcasters. Thank you for being with us. We appreciate you.